Having troubles in your relationship because you're dating someone or married to somebody who's a victim of emotional incest? Let's explore this on today's Ask a Shrink. So dating someone or being married to somebody who's been emotionally taken over in their childhood by one of their parents can be very troubling in a relationship when we're adults. If they haven't confronted this and done the therapeutic work necessary to overcome the emotional abuse, all bets are off. It can be very difficult to be partnered with somebody like this. On some of my videos about emotional incest that involve being in a relationship with somebody who's a victim of this, I received lots of comments. So let me just read one to you right here. This one comes from Warrior Mom. It says, "Thank you, Brad. You hit the nail on the head. 17 years over here, married to the son. It has destroyed my spirit, but I've stayed to protect my teen until he's 18. Then we're out of here. It's akin to Norman Bates in Psycho. I am the punching bag for his suppressed rage towards his mother. Not good times." And thank you, Warrior Mom, for that. That's very telling, and that's very common, by the way. Because being partnered, especially getting married, means we are now choosing a new family. We have a husband or a wife. They are our primary focus. They come above everything and everybody else. That's your new family. Victims of emotional incest who haven't done work on themselves to confront this may not understand the point that you have to leave mommy and daddy behind. You are now committing to another adult, your husband or your wife, your boyfriend or your girlfriend. They have to come first. If you don't put them first, then you're going to have a lot of trouble in that relationship, just like that comment I just read. Because no one wants to be second in their partner's mind. They're first. They're equal. They're equal to their partner. They're on a level playing field with them. So when a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife bows to their parents and puts their parents first, it's going to be an emotional minefield in that relationship. Rushing to help mommy or daddy when they need assistance on some level, when there's plenty of things to take on at home, especially if you're raising kids. But no, they'll drop everything to tend to mommy or daddy. And this can show itself sometimes in subtle or not so subtle ways. For example, deciding with your significant other where you want to take a vacation, you're both on the same page, but then their mother or father says, "No, we're gonna meet down in Florida this winter. We have a timeshare there." And now your significant other dropping all the plans you made together as a couple and saying, "I'm sorry, honey, we gotta go to Florida now." Or you're all going out to dinner, the four of you and your significant other choose a restaurant. You both can't wait to try it. But about an hour before dinner, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, or wife gets a phone call from their mommy or daddy. Mommy says, "No, I really am in the mood for seafood tonight," when you and your partner wanted Italian. And you're wondering, where am I in this relationship? We had just decided this, but now you're secondary to what the parents want. And speaking of restaurants, let's use that as a bit of an analogy in terms of the partner of somebody like this. You're not going to get them to change. Don't expect them to change, and they have to decide within themselves to turn things around, and unfortunately you don't have the power to make that happen. So using the restaurant analogy, it's like going into a vegetarian restaurant and being very upset because there's no meat on the menu. You're in the mood for a steak. Well, you chose to go to a vegetarian restaurant. So if you're choosing to date a mommy's boy or a daddy's girl, this is what you've got. You're not going to be able to turn this around, so give up trying. You can try to cajole all you want. You can try to point it out all you like. You can get in arguments, you can debate them, but until a mommy's boy or a daddy's girl grows a pair and is able to stand up to the parent the way they need to as an adult and do this on their own and be willing to take the slack that is going to come their way because they're not bowing to the mommy or daddy anymore, then this will just continue and continue and continue. When a child is overtaken by a parent during childhood, emotionally smothered, and they're a victim of emotional incest, you have to really dig deep and work on this on your own in adult life. It usually requires therapy. You have to see how your sense of self was decimated by the emotionally smothered parent, and now you have to be willing to see how it's impacting your relationships. Who wants to be married to somebody who's putting their mommy or daddy first, or dating somebody who's doing that? If you're healthy, not many people. And if you're realizing that too late and you're already married to somebody like this, you have to decide if you're willing to stay or not. That's where the question comes into play, not if you can get them to change, because they have to want to change on their own, and chances are they may not choose to do that at all. Because changing requires that they have to look inward at their entire life. It's not necessarily going to happen with just one or two current examples of where there's conflict in the relationship now. Your partner is probably going to dismiss that, deny it, maybe not even really know what you're talking about because they have such a level of denial going on there. And they won't be able to confront it with, like, let's say the family vacation coming up, how they're changing plans for the parents, because to do that would require that they have to be able to look inward at their entire lifetime, the pattern of this that goes way back, how they've always done this, and many people will run from doing this kind of emotional work. They're terrified, and a partner is not going to be able to push them into doing this. So the reason I'm emphasizing this, if you're with somebody who's struggling with this in their life, give up trying to change them. They have to be willing to change themselves. All you can decide is if you want to stay or not. In a way, it's very similar to dating or being married to somebody who's an alcoholic. You're not going to make them give up the booze. That's up to them. They may need to hit rock bottom before they're going to turn their life around. And in the meantime, the partner or the husband or wife can continually be on them, hound them about how much they're drinking. Is it going to work? No, not at all. It has to come from an inner place to grow up and deal with some feelings that have been pushed away for many, many years. So when you're dating, when you're choosing someone to date or to spend the rest of your life with, be very aware, notice red flags that they don't have healthy boundaries with your parents, because that's the time to get out, not when you're actually married. If they don't have strong boundaries with their parents when you're dating, they're not going to just magically have those later on unless they're willing to confront this and probably deal with this in therapy. So think about it in terms of if you have kids later with them, their parents may choose the school that your kids are going to go to. His or her parents may tell them where to invest their money, where to buy that house at. They're not going to really check with their significant other, or if they do, the parents may very well win this battle. Their parents may tell you what religion you should raise your children in versus the religion that you want to raise them in. As time goes on, this may create an emotional distance between the two partners that over time just worsens, and then it's hard to overcome it. So this is something to look at early on. So if you're just beginning to date somebody who's a mommy's boy or a daddy's girl, notice if you argue about this topic very much. That's a big red flag right there. I seem to come second. You bring that up, there's an argument. Pay attention to the red flag. He or she calls mommy or daddy to talk about their problems rather than sharing intimacy with you. It's common to think that some things are somehow going to work out, that things will improve, but unfortunately they rarely do. Basically, it's a learned helplessness that was heaped on them because of the way they were raised. Now, that's not their fault. They're a victim of emotional incest, but it's also their responsibility to deal with this as an adult, to confront it. So if you're dating somebody who hasn't confronted it, or you're married to somebody who hasn't confronted it, it's up to you to be aware of that, because you're not going to change them. I've had inquiries over the years from my private practice. Somebody wants to see me, and then in checking with them what they want to explore in therapy, they may describe it as, well, I want my husband or wife to change and not give their parent so much power. That's their goal of the therapy. But we can't start therapy that way. If this person really wants to work in therapy, they have to come in and be willing to address why they're willing to be with somebody who is putting them second. That's the issue right there. Why are you willing to be in a relationship with somebody who's putting their mommy or daddy first? So this is kind of a difficult topic to work with because there's not a lot of answers. Each person, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the husband or wife, have to go inward and decide what they're willing to tolerate or not tolerate. We have to go that angle with it, not put it on our partner and try to get them to change, because that's never going to work. So please leave me some comments below if you'd like to add your story, just like Warrior Mom did when I read that at the beginning. Share any thoughts or feelings you have. Please subscribe to my mental health YouTube channel if you like these kind of videos. And until next week, this is Brad Shore signing off from Ask a Shrink.